Hello guys, so in the last video we configured our database context, we're able to create some roles and the default user, and all of that happened locally, right? So all of that happened on our system. For this video we're actually going to look at how to work with a database up there in Azure. So because we can't use the local database in our application, we need to create a database in Azure, and that's what we're just going to be working through now. And so the first thing we need to do is go to the Azure portal. So portal.azure.com, and awesome. So this is my dashboard. I need to switch from this account to my personal account. You guys probably don't have to do that because you probably belong to just one Azure organization. It's possible for you to belong to various Azure organizations. So I have my personal Azure, and then there are companies that I work for, and they kindly just add me to their Azure platform, and then after working for them or after completion of the job, they remove me. So that's why I have an extra one here. Awesome. So what we want to do is to create a SQL database. And the kind of database we're creating is going to be an Azure SQL database. It's very similar to the local SQL server database we have on our system, but it's much more powerful. So what we are going to do is we're going to come here to SQL databases, and we're going to click this, or if you don't have this here, click on create a resource, and let's go to data, so databases, and there are a couple options here, but this is the one we want, SQL database. I'm just going to click this. Awesome. So once again, for the subscription, if you have a free subscription, you select that. I'm going to use my pay-as-you-go subscription. For the resource group, use the same resource group you created the web app in. The database name, I'm going to name it estate app db, and then we have to create a server. So we have to create something called a database server, which is going to hold our database. Because we don't have a database server now, we have to click on create new, which takes us through the process of creating a server. So I'm going to name my server estate app SVL. You can name your server whatever you want, or just estate app server. But so it says this has to be unique. So by the time you do this, you would have to pick a different name here. So my server is estate. For the login, I'm going to use estate app admin for the so you have to take note of this. Make sure you don't forget this. I'm just going to open my sticky notes and just paste it there. I'll use the notes app. So I'll use this program and just paste it there to hold it. Just clear all of this and just paste this here. So I have estates app admin. So for password, I need to pick a password. So I'm just going to use estate. Let's type it here. Estate app. That's 2020. Now these are details that you shouldn't expose to anyone, but I'm going to, so after this series I'm going to destroy all of this anyway, so it's fine that you can see this. So I create a username, and then I need to create a location. Now the thing I mentioned about proximity or latency is important. You want your database to be as close as your web app as possible. Now I put my web app in South Africa, so I'm going to put this in South Africa Node 2 here. So you want your database and your application to be very close, so then there's no lag time. I hit OK here, and see we're creating a new server. I want to use SQL Elastic Pool, no, and then you have to change this, if not you'll be costed very high. We're going to use the smallest possible database. I'm just going to come here and say I want a basic database, 2 gigs. This is going to, nope, I don't want to save this. This is going to cost about $7 a month. That's fine. I'm going to say apply, and that's it. So you should create the smallest database. It's just easier. I'll click on view and create. So I review all of this and then I just say create, and then it goes in and it starts creating my database. Meanwhile, while this is running, I'm going to go in and open my project from where we left off the last time. Just need to make sure I'm recording this. Okay, great, I am. So cd repos, cd estate app, less and clear. Then I can go code dot to open it up in Visual Studio Code. Let's see how that deployment is doing. So it says deployment on the way. It's creating the server first. Okay. So now one thing we want to do is to take, let's open app settings.json and development.json. So I'm going to take everything from development.json, from app settings.json. So I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to put them here. Now this is because when I create my database and the cloud, I want to replace the connection string in app settings.json with the one in the cloud. And that would mean that when we run our application in the cloud, it's going to use the database in the cloud. And then when we debug it locally for testing and all of that, it's going to use the local connection string. So I'm going to show you how to get the connection string for the database we're creating soon. And it's still creating the database. So it says it has created the server. We're waiting for it to create the actual database. Let's just give it a few minutes. And this is how convenient it is to work with cloud services, right? Before the cloud, we would actually have a system on our database. So a system in our data center or in our office that we have to install a database on. Well, that is not the case. So you can just go into Azure and create a database. So it said it's done. I'm going to go to all resources. And you see we have a database server here and we have a database here. I'm going to go into the database server, see if I can grab the connection string. Let's see. Oh no, let's go back to overview. So this is the name of the server, blah blah blah. Let's see firewall settings. So let's see. I'm looking for the connection string. So a name, blah blah blah. I'm just going to go back and click on the estate app. So this is the server. Let's look at databases in the server. So we have this database in the server. Let's click on it and see if we can grab the connection string from there. Okay, show database connection string. So we have this. I'm going to click on this, and we have a number of connection strings here. I'm just going to take the whole of this. I'm going to copy this, and then we're going to come to our app settings. Once again, in case you got confused from all the navigation, I'm going to close all of this and just do it once again. So after creating our database, we came to all resources, and then we came to estate app server. So this server here, estate app server. We came to SQL databases to see the databases in the server, and this server can hold more than one database. We click on this, and then we see show connection strings. So we click on this, and then I'm going to copy this. So click to copy to clipboard. Let's hope the copy is working this time. Okay, yes, it's working. Awesome. Now I'm going to bring this into my app settings.json. Remember, I want the connection string to the server in Azure, to the database in Azure in app settings, and I want the connection string to my local database in app settings.development.json. Awesome. I'm going to come here and I'm just going to clear this. Let's see how that pasted. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm going to clear this, everything within the quotes. So to do that, you can just hold shift and use side arrow key or something just to select. Nope, I don't want to select that much. Yep, that's fine. And I just paste this in. Now it says server, it's pointing to the server address, which is estate app server, which is what I created. And then instead of using database, this time we're saying initial catalog, estate app data, paste security info, and then the user ID, estate app admin, and then the password. We need to paste in our password here. Now this is the password we created when we created that server. And just copy it. Remember not to copy it with any space or anything, if not it won't work. So I'll just copy this and bring it here, and I'll replace your password with it. Oops, I don't think I copied the password. Control C, Control V. Wow, what's going on? You know what? I'll just type it. It's probably easier to type it. Estate app at 2020. So that's it. You replace the password, and that's all. I'm just going, since we're using the same database for both the authentication DB context and the application DB context, I can just copy the same. I'll just copy the same connection string and just paste it down here. So just paste. I have the password set already and all of that. Awesome. Before we test this out, let's connect to this database and see. So we can connect to this database from our system. I'm just going to open SQL Server Management Studio. I want to test that that database actually exists and that it works. Alright, now all the while we've always connected to the local DB, but this time we're not connecting to this. We're going to clear this, and we're going to connect to this database instead. So this database here, estate app server.database.windows.net. I'm going to copy this link. So this is the database we want to connect to this time. I'm going to paste it in here, and this time I'm going to use SQL Server authentication. The login is the username here. So this user ID, which is estate admin, this is what we want to connect to. This is the username we want to use, and then we need the password, this password here. So I'm going to pick up this password and just paste it here. I'll say remember password 2 and then connect. So I anticipated this error. It's telling me your client IP address does not have access to the server. Sign into an Azure account, create a new firewall to enable access. So it's telling me, hey, you can't sign. We found this database, but you can't sign into it. And the reason we can't is because of something called a firewall. Now this is another of those tech terms, right? A firewall is literally a way of restricting access to certain applications. So with our database up in Azure, we don't expect people to be connecting to our database. Our web application is going to talk to our database and get whichever information people want and display it to them. So there's no need for anyone to connect from their local system to our database. And so what happens is our database is not accessible outside of Azure. Because our web app and our database are both in Azure, the web app can connect to the database. But outside of Azure, our firewall rules dictate that nobody outside of Azure environment should access our database. Now, what if, for example, we want to go into our database ourselves and check? We can then go and create something called a firewall rule, which is what we're going to do now. I'm going to come here and I'm going to come back to overview, and I'm going to say set server firewall, and then I just want to add the client IP. So I want to add my current IP address. So when I click this, it's going to pick whatever my current IP address is, which is this, has been picked, and I'm going to hit save to save this. So this just picks my current IP address, and it saved it. Now this time when I try to connect, hopefully I should be able to connect without any issue. And as you can see, I just connected to the server. Now this server is not on my system, it's up there in Azure. If I expand databases, and I have my assisted app DB here, but this is not going to have any table because we haven't run the migration against it yet. If I open up tables, let's see. You see, it takes a little time to load now because of the round trip, because instead of it's not executing this command on our database. It has a round trip where it goes into Azure to get this in. So you see, for tables, we have just system tables, external tables, and graph tables. We don't have our tables here yet. The way to run our migrations, we can actually go in and run the migration from the command line, but we want to test the work we did. I'm going to close this and close this. And remember the work we did here where we say migrate database context. So we're actually going to run this. We're going to push this application to Azure. And what happens when we push this application to Azure is that the application is stopped for a while and then it is restarted when you push a new version. And so when our application restarts, it's going to run this code. So this code only runs when your application starts. And it's going to run this code. What this code is going to do is that it's going to go into our data folder and look at our migrations and run our migrations against the database and even create our default users. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to say git status and then git add dot git commit m added server connection string git push. First of all, I want to push it to GitHub. Git push origin dev, because I believe I've been on the dev branch all the while. So I'll push dev, and then I'm going to check out master, because now I want to actually push all of this to Azure. So I'll check out to master. I have a number of errors here. It's fine. Then I'll just merge everything from dev. Git merge dev. Okay, and I'll just clear all of this. Git clean df, just to make sure I don't have any files I want. There's no files I don't want there. If I say git status now, git status. I see I'm ahead of origin master by I'll push this to master first. Git push origin master, just to make sure my master branch has all my latest changes. And then after pushing to master, I'll say git push Azure, so to actually update my web app with those changes. And remember, what we're saying is when our web app updates, it's going to automatically run those migrations. I really don't expect that we'll have any errors here, but if we do, it's nothing we can't figure out. I think it's better that I'm actually doing this interactively. So I didn't pre-record these videos, I didn't pre-plan it. I'm simply running this project the same way I would build a regular project, right? So I didn't do any of this. So I actually run into real issues you would run into while you're building projects, and just walk you through how to debug and solve a problem. You can go out there and Google, you can try different things. So that's the plan here. We say it's deployed. Let's go up into Azure and see if the same thing is happening. I'll go to all resources. So our web app is here, Estate app. Let's look at deploy. Where are you? Da, 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 6/25th, that's still far away. So this is the deployment center. Let's go to the deployment center and see. Okay. So we see it's still deploying this one. So this is the last one where I said added server connection string. And let's just give it a while to see if it deploys successfully. I'm going to come back here. We see we can even see everything. So all the we can see everything it's doing right from here. We see that it's just built the data project. It built this one. It says deployment successful. So it doesn't look like there are any errors. I'm going to check my app. So if I remember correctly, it's estate app.azure. I'll just come here. I don't remember what the URL is, but I'll just come here and say browse. It's going to open that up for me. Okay, estate app.azurewebsites.net. And there's really no way for me to tell if all of that works. All I can do is come to my database and actually refresh and see if I have any new tables or anything. Or so no new tables yet. We don't know if it ran that migration. Let's run this again and see. Okay, so I guess it's down. So what happened before? It hasn't deployed, so it hasn't changed. Let's see. Okay, so we have an application error. So there's a problem somewhere, probably a problem connecting to the database or something. We can just go in there and see what's happened. And we can just come here and look at the application logs. Let's see. Okay, so it says there's an error somewhere. Before we actually go in and start debugging that error, let's try to browse to the site again and see that we do have an error. Okay, so we definitely have an error. So let's come here and see. Okay, since there's an error in the log, let's click on more info and see. We have a SQL exception, so we know that and the error we're getting is can't open estate app server, which is our client with IP address 40 is not allowed to access the server. Okay, so it's the same issue we had. So it's saying, hey, even though both of these applications are up in Azure, it's still saying, hey, you're not allowed to connect to this. You're not allowed to connect to this database. So basically, our application is trying to connect, and it's saying, hey, you're not allowed to connect to the database. Make sure that this IP address is allowed to access the database. So that's what it's saying here. To enable access, use Windows Azure Management Portal, blah blah blah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come back to the instance of Azure here. I'll close this. I'll come to my all resources and go into my estate app server and see if there's a way I can grant that access. So I'll go to let's see, firewall settings. Let's see. Okay, so allow Azure services and resources to access the server. I'm going to say yes. So allow Azure services and resources to access the server. I'm changing this to yes because I want this to be able. So this used to be enabled by default, or by default, however it's pronounced, but it's changed now. So I have to actually come in here and say yes, I want to allow Azure services, and I'll say save. And I believe it should. Okay, so it has updated this. Well, I have to go in and restart my app. So I'll go to overview, and I'll just say restart. So when I restart, it's going to run that, try to run the migration again. Yes, I want to restart it. That was fast. Successfully restarted web app. Let's come back here and see. Okay, so we see that we no longer have the exception. It can mean one thing. It means the application successfully ran the migrations, and we can just come here and try to refresh and see if there's a difference. I'm going to expand tables, and you see now we have all of those tables. These tables are up in Azure. We have ASP.NET rules, we have user claims, we have for our contacts and our properties. And then that's how it works. Notice we didn't have to run these migrations manually. We did it from code. Now, each time we make a change to our modules and we create new migration, if we just push to Azure, they'll be created. So now our application has all that is necessary for us to manage users and user roles and all of that. Whatnot. And from the next video we're going to actually start creating our pages. So all we've been doing has been gone to work so far, so work that is necessary for other things to happen. From the next video we're actually going to go and make a page for users to sign up to our application. Awesome, thanks for watching, and as usual, drop me any questions where you have. I'm sure you guys would agree that Azure is pretty straightforward to use, and really most cloud service providers are just as easy to use. Thank you.